Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We're doing 2 videos today. We're back in the garage working on the V36 G35. The temperature is currently 42 outside. It is windy as all hell. In the shop, half insulated, we're sitting at a cool 68. The floor is cold. I can feel my feet are still cold, but nonetheless, this thing still cranks. I just brought out my V36 parts. This is a box of parts I've been collecting. In this box, a new gas cap. E85/gasoline. Now I don't know what this cap came off of. I do know this car is not E85 capable. I don't know why anyone would put this gas cap on. I don't know what it's from. Could be causing some kind of leaks. They do look generally the same. It probably worked. But then again, I don't know. I just know that I didn't want E85 put in my car accidentally if I let someone borrow it, because I've had that happen before. So, fresh gas cap installed. This tether, I think, is supposed to bolt there. I think there's a plastic push pin. Tuck it in there. Now, what I do normally on most of my cars is I just hook it right there. It doesn't need a tether. The tether just gets in the way. So maybe I'll just remove that. As long as I know I got the right gas cap. Other parts in the box. What else is in the box? It's a lower oil pan gasket. I don't know if it's necessarily leaking from it, but it's easy enough to do, and it lets me crack the bottom of the engine open and make sure there's nothing floating around in it. So I decided, instead of cleaning the garage, to start working on the G. What better thing to do than I took these clamps off with the flathead, this one and this one, and I barely even pulled this. And look at that vacuum leak, man. This boot alone was probably most of my idling problem. It literally ran like... I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna continue changing this, and we'll get the finished product. So we got the boot off. Got my flashlight. Good news. The valve cover bolts are visible with the intake boot off. All there on this side, which is good news. I'm debating pulling the intake manifold anyway right now. Just occurred to me. I was like, man, that G37 intake is going to be on my car. Parts of that junkyard car are going to live on in my daily. And then I realized it had a perfectly mint door. Could have had a perfectly mint door from a junkyard. That was close to me. And someone nabbed it while I was there. Literally, I left and came back and the door was gone. And I'm like, someone took the door. Sick. Got the intake manifold off. The only problems I necessarily found was this PCV line is absolutely demolished. I don't know what happened to that. I have no idea. So I guess I'm gonna try to look for one of those. And then there's a bit of oil around the intake runners down here. So this really is good news. What I'll do is I'll actually, finding that hose for the PCV is gonna be a pain in the butt. I'll look, but what I'll probably end up doing is just cutting it in 2 spots, splicing in another piece of hose. It looks like it didn't quite sit down in that holder and then got pinched on top. Hopefully I can get that sorted. We'll get that vacuum leak patched up in the... I don't even know if it's a vacuum leak. I would suspect it is. It's connected to the intakes and the intake manifold, so... vacuum leaks, which is... we knew we had them. They ran like garbage. So we're in a good spot. We're better than I suspected we'd be. Once the thread inserts for this come in, I'll be able to button that up, and then that should stop leaking, and then we can go underneath the car. One of the bigger hurdles that I hadn't anticipated is actually finding something to take the lug nuts off. But I wouldn't even call it a triple square. I don't even know what it is, to be honest with you. It's like a big Torx bit, but none of my Torx bits fit. So I'm gonna have to bring it to the shop, have Jake take those off. Originally, I wanted to do the GK Tech 17mm like lug nuts that I have on my Z. They've been really nice. They're anodized. They don't rust, and they fit better in a socket than the eBay ones. But I figure since this is a winter car, we're gonna do closed-ended lug nuts so we don't get salt in there to rust everything out and basically do what's already happening. We're in the Northeast, and this isn't a summer car, so this is things we got to think about. The back one's literally missing one, so that's cool. Have to figure that one out, but figured I'd show this because it was satisfying. I'm an idiot. Nope. That's never been replaced before. Guarantee it. Different day. It's a cool 68 degrees in here. It's hot. I went around and I picked up some stuff today. My helicoil kit came in, and I thought for some reason M10 by 1.5. Thought that was the 10mm bolts that are all over this, like Nissans. But once they came in, I was like, those look a little large. Picked up a short 1/4-inch drill bit, meant for drilling steel, even though this is aluminum. I picked up a 90-degree drill extension, so it turns it. This is an M6 by 1 thread cert inserter. There's the tap for it. There's 3 thread certs, and then I bought a pack of 10 more. I don't know how many I need. I guess we're gonna figure that out tonight. But we have to deal with this cover. So looking at the front cover, this one torques down, and this one under here torque down. So I got to do 1, 2, 3. There's one hidden under here, 4, and then there's one right next to it, 5. Got to do 5 helicoils on my front cover because of the previous owner. Drilled out this one was fine. This one I did, this one I did. I did this one. There's one in here. And now the last one, I figured I'd show you guys. Pulling the tap out. So, tap is out. Now I have thread insert tool. I put some blue Loctite on it. I don't have red. I guess you're supposed to use red. I don't see it being an issue, hopefully, when I go to take the bolts out in the future. If I go to take the bolts out, the thread inserts don't come with it. We just line it up and start twisting. So it gets to a point where it bottoms out in the hole. And once you can kind of feel it springing back. You just take it out, find the bolt, fellas, you know. Threads in fairly easy, so it's not super noticeable, but you can see the handle moving. That's torqued. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna recheck all the bolts, make sure they're still torqued. And hopefully we won't be missing oil out of that anymore. So overall, the rethreading process took me longer than it probably should have because I'm not a mechanic, but it wasn't hard. That was a big step in fixing the oil leaks. I'm going to go ahead, I'm probably going to put the top end back together once I get the PCV hose. Alright guys, so we got a hose for the PCV. What I'm going to do is cut this piece out that got clamped. I got a piece of 3/8 fuel line hose and then these barbs. So I got the PCV buttoned up. What I did was I just cut it pre-holder. This is the holder. I think this is what it got squished on. It's this beam right here. So I cut it pre-holder, stuffed the barb in there. Didn't want to go in the old crusty tubes, but I pushed it in far enough with a little dry lube. Got it to go through here, and then this should hook up to the manifold in the back where it goes. So that's one vacuum leak fixed. What I can do is now reassemble everything. That was the last piece I was waiting on. So just like that, engine's back together. Got the intake manifold on, tightened all the bolts. I got the intakes back on. This boot's no longer ripped. The PCV thing leads to here. I did a new PCV valve, which leads to the back of this manifold here. I still need, there's a junction box like this one that I think has 3 ports that hooks to like here, the valve cover, and then this hose. This hose was ran really funky. I figured out where it wants to lay, but it didn't end where I thought it should. So I still really would like to put stock air boxes on this. It is a beater. I really don't care about having big filter noises. It's cool, but I would prefer a stock HR system. My other G runs a stock intake. So next, I want to take it to the car wash. I'm going to take this coolant bottle back out. There is oil all over the place. I want to use this engine degreaser. Basically, I just want to spray it with water, spray it with the engine degreaser, let it sit there for a while, and then hose it off. Except it's cold, and I don't want to hook my pressure washer up at my house because it'll freeze, and I'll need a new one. So this is it. It should run. I'm going to do the oil cooler filter and an oil change before I start it up. It also has almost no coolant in it. I'm not sure why, honestly. I think the kid said he replaced that hose down there, which also goes to the oil cooler, but I don't think he actually filled the system back up. I think he filled the reservoir, which doesn't fill the system up. So I'm actually surprised it didn't overheat on my way home with it. So I was editing the video and I realized nothing really happened. So I got the G off the ground, I drained the oil, and you're never going to believe it. Almost 10 quarts of oil came out of this car. Almost 10 quarts. Now, is it all oil? Is it coolant and oil? I have no idea. So, is it a bad head gasket? Is it a bad water pump? Again, I don't know. I did remove the lower pan to get a good look. It looks like it has some engine sludge, but nothing too bad. I'm going to do a fresh oil change. I bought this gasket, which is supposed to go behind this, and then the one I pulled out was smaller. So the guy at Advanced found me the correct one. He said it's from an 06. This is an 07, but this is kind of a weird year because I think in 08 on the HR they didn't do the oil cooler. So I'm going to throw that gasket in. I'm going to pour some oil in it. I'm going to bolt the bottom pan back on, and then we're going to start it up. Now it's just a regular oil change and some coolant, and she should start. Forgot my sway bar. So, oil's in, filter's on, coolant's filled. I'll still have to bleed it. I don't know how much it was missing. It only took about a half a gallon. So, I'm going to go ahead and start it up with the door cracked. I'm going to check to make sure that nothing's dripping underneath. Battery's dead. So we started the G up, started fine, had a bit of a misfire going on. I'm going to actually pull it back apart, check the plugs, because I didn't do that while I was in there. And hopefully it's just some bad plugs or something. I guess we're going to find out. Well, it had a misfire on the first startup. And I went in and I checked the plugs. Took the intake manifold and the intakes back off. Pulled the plugs. One of them was hand tight. I made sure it was not stripped out, and then tightened everything down, made sure everything was grounded. I think I found one more vacuum leak. Turned it back on, cleared the codes, and look. This thing is purring like it should. There is a bit of an exhaust leak. You can hear it underneath. I have a full exhaust off my old car. I don't want to try to scab onto it. It's just a beater. I'm not going to go buy a brand new stainless steel exhaust for it, so we're going to see what we can make work. So, checked, not leaking, still running. I'm going to check the temperature again. I think it has heat. Yeah, it's got some nice heat. I actually drove it home and it didn't really have heat. It did not warm up. I drove it like 40 minutes home. It was ridiculous, but I got no check engine light so far. So far, so good. Like I said, I'm going to take it off jack stands. I'm going to take it for a drive because it's definitely on the road. I'm going to go ahead, take it off jack stands. I'm going to take it for a drive. So it's a little smoky in here. I think it's burning excess oil, but I zip tied the bumper on, and it fits better with zip ties than it did with bolts. Fitting it. So I just took the car for its first drive. I took it down to the gas station. I put some premium in it because I'm pretty sure the previous owner didn't put premium in it. Everything was going good. We had no check engine lights. It was a little smoky, but I figured that was because it had 10 quarts of oil in it at one point. I got on it on the way home a little bit, and the check engine light immediately came on. I ran the codes, and it's for a cam solenoid. So, doing a little bit of reading, people were telling me that the cause isn't the cam solenoid, it is the Galley Gaskets. If you know anything about the HR motor, you know that's a big job. So here's to my first set of Galley Gaskets. Wish me luck. Oh yeah, if you like Infinities, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more content. I'll see you guys later.